I think I'm a special one.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Here we go. We're back. Finally. I don't know what episode this is. I don't know. I guess we could call this like season 2 of the podcast. We took a cool about 7th month break. Our last episode was literally a preview for the World Cup final. So if you didn't know, Argentina won the World Cup. If you only got your soccer knowledge from On the Half Turn, Argentina won the World Cup. But,
I guess you wouldn't have realized.
Yeah, welcome back. On the Half Turn podcast is back. We're ready to start cranking out some more content. Kind of took a break, had a lot of stuff going on, other soccer stuff. How we doing, Chad?
Chilling, man. To be honest, we were pumping out podcasts a lot during the World Cup.
Yeah. And a lot happened after the World Cup, and there was a lot of good content we could have done. I just think it just didn't quite align, and we were like, all right, what else do we want this to be? Should we keep doing very tactical stuff? Should it be just news? And then I think we're ready to roll again.
Yeah, we really did kind of grind in the men's World Cup, and now we're in the women's World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You been watching any of that?
I have been, yes. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. I watched the women's national team. Got a few hot takes on that. But like we always start every podcast, Chad, what are you wearing? A tradition unlike any other.
Yeah, so over the course of the 7 months, I've been able to pick up a few kits. Just got a Croatia Modric jersey from this past World Cup.
So that's the classic, red and white checker.
Yeah, but it's a little different in the front than before. It's got it's mostly white with a few red checkers. I've always kind of liked the Croatia kits, and Modric, probably his last World Cup, so picked that up. And I picked up a few others, picked up a Messi, I picked up a De Bruyne from the World Cup as well.
Don't spoil it though. Save those for the next.
Yeah, but they're a little tight, so I don't know if I'm gonna be wearing them on the podcast.
This 7 months, Chad's just been cranking out bench press. I'm rocking a Santos Neymar jersey. On one of the last episodes we did, I think I was wearing the light blue Santos Neymar, with the collar, and this one is the black and white stripe. I bought them at the same time. I loved Neymar Santos era. I just thought the jerseys were cool. So I'm excited to be rocking this. So while we were away, we were still doing tons of soccer stuff. Chad and I played for the indoor team, the Philadelphia Spartans. We were doing some college coaching, high school coaching, club coaching, anything you can name it. Just got done NPSL season with Atlantic City FC. We've got to get a jersey or a scarf or something in the background here.
We have too many not to put up.
Yeah, I was coaching. Chad was playing. We made a playoff run. It was cool, high-level soccer stuff that just, kind of adds to the experience. I know we don't talk a whole lot about, our experience playing. Most of this is, discussions around the pro game and high level youth game and development and that kind of stuff, but there are cool things that we're experiencing outside of kind of what we're showing in the podcast, which I think adds to it as well. I always notice too, I consume a lot of content on Twitter, YouTube, podcasts, whatever.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah, I'm a pro content consumer, and people aren't practitioners. They make these tactical threads, or they talk about how their favorite team is Barcelona, or they want to play like this or that. It's well, you're not doing it on the field. You're talking about developing players. You're not coaching a youth team, or you're not coaching your local semi-pro Atlantic City team. You're not, putting this stuff into practice is also, useful and gives you a different perspective. And everyone wants to play like Pep Guardiola. Well, are you sticking to your guns and trying to make your teams play like a Manchester City or a possession-based team or creative players? Or do you just kind of say that? We're not doing it at the highest level. We're not professional coaches here. I'm sure some pro coaches or pro players have podcasts as well, but I think it kind of adds to the On the Half Turn experience.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely people out there who can kind of say or kind of describe what's happening tactically in games. Some of those people aren't, like you said, coaching. Mm-hmm. But I think there are some people who definitely break it down well who aren't coaches. So we read a lot of that stuff on Twitter. But it's still good to like see from different perspectives. Like I always thought that playing helps me coaching, and coaching kind of helped me playing. Like if you're just gonna play and then when you're done coach, that's fine. But I always thought it helped me with both, since I was overlapping doing both, and I'm still currently doing that. It kind of just gives you like a different outlook on it.
Yeah, and then there's also the difference between coaching a high-level team or coaching a low-level, like, younger team and then playing at a high level. It's like they don't translate a whole lot. But then if you're able to coach a higher-level team or older-age team and also play at that level, that gives you kind of like the player's perspective. And then there's a lot of people, too, that just pump out content about tactics. It's like, yeah, that's great. That tactical knowledge is correct. But you telling us this doesn't matter if we're trying to apply it. It's like, why are we talking about the 3-diamond-3 formation that Manchester City's playing? Well, how did Pep Guardiola train that? Why is John Stones stepping into the midfield? Like, what advantage is City doing? They're not just doing it for the sake of it. They're doing it because they want an extra player somewhere on the field, because Inter Milan did this to counter this. There's a whole other like piece of it, and I think like that's could be like the next evolution, or like one segment of this podcast is kind of going in depth on like those specific tactics. But I thought we did a good job giving like the audience that like within the World Cup.
Yeah, especially with the U.S. Your boy Triple G. We can get into that if you want, or wait a little bit.
So I had this. So we just talked about the women's national team, right? And we're talking about like applying some of what we were talking about. So we watched the women's national team against the Netherlands. They got a 1-1 draw. And then clip pops up. A couple former women's national team players are talking about like what went wrong against the Netherlands. Why didn't we win the game or play better? And I thought we got kind of outclassed in the first half, kind of brought it the second half. And in this clip, they're like, yeah, in the first half, we were just 11 individuals. In the second half, we were a collective unit. It's like, that's great. As a coach, I really believe in the power of teamwork. But, like, there was nothing tactical in that at all. And those players played for Vlatko Andonovski. They played for the women's national team, played in World Cups. Like, how are you not giving us more? And then everyone's, like, praising them. Like, yeah, finally someone said it. It's like, what did they say that was anything better? I was texting someone during the game, and at halftime I said, like, not enough pressure on the Dutch wingbacks. They were playing a 3-5-2. And as soon as we got Crystal Dunn, our left back, and Fox, our right back, higher on their wingbacks, they weren't able to receive the ball comfortably and play into midfield and then switch it and then go around. Simple tweaks like that, simple little like tactical nuggets are what I feel like people want to hear. That adds to the knowledge of the game, not like they want it more and they're a collective unit. No one wants to hear that.
I think that's just kind of the fan base around the women's national team. Not saying like the fan base doesn't know what they're talking about. It's just what we kind of give like the fans. You know, if you look at the Fox broadcast, I'm not really trying to knock JP Della Camera, but he's not really a soccer guy. And a lot of the pundits that they put on the Fox broadcast in the Men's World Cup, I haven't watched that much in the Women's World Cup, but they weren't the most tactically, like the smartest tactically.
It's very
group
like,
of pundits.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like what we're feeding the fans too. So maybe there is a need for some more tactical talk around the women's game.
Yeah, and there could be a mix between the hardcore tactics, like where you're showing pictures and video, like that you can't really consume while you're just sitting there, and then the typical talk you see on TV. I mean, like I love Alexi Lawless, Carly Lloyd's on there, but they're not giving you that. Like I feel like Fox and these other broadcasts are not. They're underestimating the viewer of what the viewer wants. Like, I want to see more about the game. Like, why were the Netherlands playing through our midfield so easily? Why were they outnumbering us? What were their two attacking midfielders doing that caused us problems? And
Yeah, that whole idea, like, I first heard it maybe a few months ago. 343, another American podcast, they went in talking about how the commentators just need to improve. They went into a whole thing about it, which I kind of agree to some extent because, especially like through like a tournament, you're gonna need to go through like a lot of pundits.
Yeah.
Is that what you call them?
Pundits.
Are pundits like the people in the field, or are they just like
I think they're in
anybody that's on a microphone? Like, are we pundits?
I don't know, man. We could be. I could put semi-pro pundit in my Twitter bio. But yeah, we'll talk about the women's national team going forward at some other point, maybe later in the tournament, or maybe like we'll break them down tactically. But I just thought that was like a good transition in like what we're doing. Another thing, I think we're gonna mess around with the rhythm of the podcast a little bit. I think what we might do is like kind of film and record an hour-long podcast, but chunk it up into clips. So this first clip, we'll talk a little bit about, we'll release it as separate podcasts. So it's kind of like our welcome back, and then I thought we'd get into like some big like world news and like some transfers and kind of bounce ideas off each other, what those could mean. You want to get us started with that?
Yeah, I just want to say like kind of like short form. So maybe it's like a 10-minute, like that might just be your commute to work. You just listen to us on your commute to work, and you don't have to worry about us the rest of the day. 10 minutes in your ear, and you're done.
That'd be great, man.
Yeah.
So, and then that way, like you could kind of skip through like some sections that you want to listen to or don't.
Yeah.
You want to get us started?
So how do you? Where do you want to start?
Let's start with some big transfers and like some big news in the Premier League, because we ended, obviously, City win the league. But to me, I look back at this season and I had the most fun watching Arsenal. Like, I'm going to remember this season for Arsenal. I love the way they played. I love the way like their young players kind of took that next step. So like I'm going to remember Arsenal. So I want to talk about like what City's doing. What is Arsenal doing? Why are they so intriguing? Like, where does Liverpool kind of go from here? So you want to just run through like some transfers and kind of like the outlook for each team?
Yeah, for sure. But what we were saying before, you were a player, right, Andrew?
I was a player.
Did you ever wear any sort of grip socks or anything to improve your performance?
I wore one pair. I wasn't too big of a fan of the quality, though.
The quality? Well, that's where our guys over at Informed Sportswear come in. We partner with them. We think they're a great brand. Most of the grip socks you wear now are either overpriced or they're affordable, but the quality is just poor. So Informed Sportswear offers affordable grip socks, and the quality is there. They feel like, from my experience, they feel like a natural sock. They don't feel bulky like some of the grips on the bottom. They just get the job done, right? And they got a little style to them. So if you're interested in that, check them out. You can find it in our bio. That's also at informedsportswear.com, at Informed Sportswear on Instagram and TikTok, or check out our bio on the Half-Turn podcast, our bio on Instagram, and we'll even throw a code at you. Half-Turn, all caps, Half-Turn for a discount.
One word?
Half-Turn, yep, one word, all caps. Yeah. Informed Sportswear.
Yep. So we're talking about Premier League. So Manchester City, right? They bring in Erling Haaland, scores all these goals, they get better. Like, what do you make of like the Manchester City mold where it went from, oh, they're playing this 3-box-3, right? By 3-box-3, I mean 3 center backs, 2 defensive mids, 2 pivots, 2 attacking midfielders, and then 2 wingers and a striker, right? So that evolved as the season went on to in what they would call a 3-diamond-3. So that's John Stones kind of stepping from center back up into defensive mid, 2 kind of wider center midfielders, a 10, and then a front 3. What'd you make of that? What'd you think? Where does it give City the advantages on the
diamond?
Field? Yeah.
I think they just kind of
compared to the box, yeah.
It just kind of turned in the whole thing. You kind of already get, I guess, a player like Kevin De Bruyne already on that right side, maybe. Already in that part of the field, the half-space part of the field. I guess. I don't know. In the Champions League final, did he play underneath Haaland, or I'm not sure how that worked. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of new, so it really hasn't happened a lot with Man City. I felt like it was kind of new towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. They were mostly doing just like inverting a fullback. And was it last season or the season before? It had to be the season before, where Cancelo, first game of the season, was just in midfield, and everyone was like, "Wow, what the heck?" And see how quick it's just gone to the diamond. So, what do you think? What do you think's the benefit of the diamond?
Well, me, like,
because we've talked about this. I probably brought this up to you maybe over a year ago saying, "Oh, dude, I found a new formation," but it wasn't like that. No.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, teams in Spain have been doing it for a while, and like it kind of looks like the formations they used to do back in like the old like Italian Serie A. But I mean, he started with very attacking fullbacks at Barca. Then like one of them would stay home, one of them would kind of push up the field, and then like at Bayern he started inverting Kimmich a little bit, and to me, inverting the fullback was just less of a distance to run for one player to be that second pivot in midfield to provide, you know, what I would call like a rest defense shape, right? You have 3 center backs, 2 defense mids. If those guys stay home, now your front 5 players can kind of interchange, can rotate, and they're the ones like pressuring up the field. And then you still have like a solid base behind you. And it would be a fullback going into midfield because one, a lot of fullbacks were former center midfielders, same quality. And a lot of times a fullback, you're very rarely going to get the quality in defending that you need at the highest level, like Manchester City, with the attacking quality to constantly overlap. So you kind of lose a little bit defensively, but you're able to push that guy into midfield and maintain your shape. And then you can keep your wide players, your wingers, if you had like a Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, in this case it was a Mahrez or Grealish, you can keep those guys high and wide without having to tuck them inside and play a fullback there. A guy like Kyle Walker can kind of do it all. He was pretty important defending-wise. He wasn't necessarily the best player to step into that midfield role. So I think it's a shorter distance. I think the diamond kind of took shape because the way like teams would press in these certain scenarios where the 3-2-5 or the 3-4-3 or whatever it looked like when that one fullback would tuck inside was sort of static, right? But if you play this 3-diamond-3, there's different angles all over the field, and you could adjust it based on where the ball is. So if De Bruyne's playing as the 10, he could rotate over with, like, let's say, who'd be a right center mid, like a Gundogan.
Well, I think in the Champions League final, I think it was just Stones. Stones, I think, just pushed up
on the right side
onto the right side of the diamond.
But either way, like you get those little overloads there. But especially with Stones too, like Stones stepping up from center back, it's just a shorter distance to go, right? You're not spreading, you know, Ake and who played right back in that game? Do you remember?
Akanji.
You're not spreading them super high and wide like you would, you know, back in the day with like attacking fullbacks. So it's less distance. You get kind of more stability. And they all have the quality to defend anyway. So you take the profile of a really good defender, keep them defending, right? But now someone like Stones who has the quality to step in, it's a 10 or 15-yard run once you establish possession to get into that midfield. And then it's a little bit of rotation that the pressing team has to deal with. Now, I don't think it's going to be a trend that everyone is having a center back step into midfield. But also it gives you the flexibility where a lot of teams will kind of cut off certain players or certain passing lanes. So if Stones wants to start dribbling the ball, he's going to end up there anyway. So it gives you an extra man with that quality.
I have like questions about it. I don't know if I would ever set up a team to put a center back in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
But like you kind of said it a little bit. Just teams are now starting to put like more just center backs onto the field too, like guys who we think are center backs. It's now like changing a little bit where you just put 4 of them out there, and then you do it that way. So you already are like set up to put a guy in midfield, and then you drop with 3.
And in theory, they're better defenders than a typical fullback, right? Sometimes maybe they're not as good, defending wide areas. They're better on set pieces, right? Because they're supposed to be taller, better headers of the ball. And look at the way teams press now too. Like we'll talk a little bit about pressing structures maybe later, maybe in a different episode. Like teams will like really choreograph these high presses, right? They'll cut off certain parts of the field. So it might be pressing in a 4-2-4. So the two center mids will lock onto someone as they go to press. The 2 up top, right? So let's say De Bruyne and Haaland are pressing, or Jesus and Odegaard are pressing together. They're kind of cutting off the 2 pivots in the middle, and then as they're blocking the pass to the pivots, they're going to press the center backs. A lot of times those wide players, Asaka, Martinelli, Mahrez, Grealish, they'll kind of get in the passing lane between, let's say, the opposition left back and the opposition left center mid and force like those balls over top. So yeah, they might leave someone open at the back, but now you have 3 or 4 center backs back there to win that ball. So you're almost encouraging that long ball to just win it, smash them, and go.
Yeah, and they want those center backs to step, like we learned from the Irish national team coach.
Yeah.
Like he just they defend with in a 5 back.
Yeah.
But he says like they usually high press, but he wants those 3 center backs to be like super aggressive, because even if one goes out there, you still have 2 center backs there to cover just in case that one gets caught out.
Yeah.
So he just encourages them to go press. So like if you got 4 of them, one goes out, even if he gets beat, 3.
Yeah, and think about how perfect that ball has to be to beat that press. I mean, so when Arsenal played City towards the end of the year, City won, and one of the goals was just Ederson hoofs it, right? Great long ball into Holland. He just kind of shrugs Rob Holding off. Rob Holding was playing because Saliba was injured.
It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I could shrug off Rob Holding too. But that's a case where it went bad. But that had to be a perfect long ball, the best center forward in the world, and probably a bit of luck and a bit of strength and whatnot. But a lot of other times, he's got to perfectly hold that ball up, then he's got to lay it off, and then it's got to be perfectly timed. So if you keep everything in front of you, and there's a big gap between your center midfield and your center backs off goal kicks, goalkeeper balls, the areas where you could choreograph a press, then it's a pretty easy fix if you get broken. The worst case scenario is you get broken by a ball in there, you just react. You're very rarely going to get hit with that. I mean, we went to the Premier League friendlies up in Philly this weekend, and we were watching some of the teams press, and it's like Newcastle was doing it a little bit, Villa was doing it a little bit, Brentford, where even on goal kicks or when the center backs have the ball, they'll go press because, all right, if our left back is touch tight to their right winger, one of the center backs might follow a forward dropping into midfield, and that's fine because they're very rarely going to hit a perfect long ball into that second forward running in behind from their own box. Now, you're not going to defend like this if you're in a mid-block because you're so close to the goal. But if you're pressing high, I think it gives you room to take those chances and concede certain areas of the field. I thought the U.S. kind of did a good job of that. Berhalter talks about playing a high line all the time. I think that's what he means, man. Maybe when people talk about this Red Bull pressing philosophy, maybe the pressing and the counterattacking transitions were a bit of a takeaway, but maybe learning how to play a high line is another thing too. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not just about making last-ditch tackles as the guy's about to beat you in behind. Maybe it's about which spaces to concede and how you can get numbers up on certain areas of the field.
Right. And you look at a player like Guardiola, he's going to go to Man City, and he's the perfect player for Man City. When we talk about stepping with keeping a high line, that guy being aggressive, stepping in front of the striker, that ball playing, left-footed, the fact that he's linked to City is scary because just that with the 4 center backs that they're going to put back there. So yeah.
And they're not just center backs. These guys have the quality.
Yeah, I say center backs, but they're not center backs. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
They're specimens.
Yeah, kind of like you.
Yeah, factos.
You were in the Azpilicueta role, but you'd be good as
I'd be great in this kind of a hybrid right back, right center back role, dude. Unbelievable.
So good.
And teams won't we talk about teams playing in a 3-diamond-3 or playing in a 3-2-5, but you don't really defend like that. A lot of times, if you play with 3 center backs, you'll defend in a 5-3-2 or a 5-2-3. If you're some kind of hybrid, you defend in a 4 in the back. We're going to talk about Arsenal. Zinchenko would invert, but they would defend in pretty much a 4-4-2 type thing where Odegaard would step up into that space, or they let Xhaka step up into that space. City defend in a 4-4-2 a lot of times with De Bruyne and Holland, but like I said, I think Arsenal was the story of the season to me. I just love everything they did was really cool. Partey was awesome, and they're just straight up replacing him with Declan Rice, which I think is going to be great. I thought Odegaard and Saka alone, just the angles that they receive the ball. Watch when they play a ball into Saka, right? He's receiving it sometimes with his back to goal on the sideline, but he's so good at protecting the ball and just keeping it that he can knock it inside and then just keep making his run, little quick combinations. And if he's able to receive the ball facing forward but on his left foot, what's he going to do? He's just going to cut in because he's left-footed. If he starts cutting in, you either have, Odegaard or Jesus slashing through, or the late run of Ben White, like, taking that space. So they're never conceding space on the field. They're just taking that dangerous space that Saka's cutting into on his preferred foot. It's just lethal, man. Like, the angles of their passes were all perfect. Like,
yeah. Obviously, Arsenal had a great season, but have you been reading any like the tactical stuff about them in preseason?
Yeah, I don't think it's all going to stick. Like, I don't think what we're seeing in preseason is what they're going to roll out in the first game. I mean, do you see a lot changing? Like, Xhaka's out. Partey's probably leaving. I don't know, but I'm guessing Declan Rice steps into that Partey role. They bought Kai Havertz. I'm guessing he slides in for Xhaka, and that's their starting lineup right there.
Honestly, I've seen stuff where it's gotten like funky. Maybe guys. Obviously, I haven't watched the game. Like the first game, it was Arsenal versus Nuremberg, their first preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch that, but I read like maybe like 3 articles about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this one guy was trying to say Havertz starts at the 8, but Arteta wants him to go wide, like doing all this stuff. It's like, no. That's just they were just playing the game. Like, shouldn't look too far into it. But I think players will just play in different spots. Like, really, like I think Trossard's going to play through the middle.
Yeah,
I think we might see Havertz as in like a center mid role, or like off the striker, or even just out wide left. Could be anything. And the thing with Havertz is, someone brought up the point, like, playing long out of the back. Havertz, I guess, is a good ball winner in the air. Just bring something else that you can, like, use as a target.
there we go. I do think Arsenal will be a little bit more direct. And look, maybe that's the chess match, right? Like, teams are playing with these weird, like, freakishly high lines. They're conceding space in the middle between their center mids and their center backs. So can Havertz, like, he's got sticky feet, right? If he could, like, maybe not body a guy off, but be able to, like, slither around a guy and receive a ball out of the air and turn and go forward. I could see Havertz more as, like, more of the striker that people think. Some people were just like, oh, Havertz is going to step in and be the left-sided 8. I don't think it's that simple. I could see Havertz using, like, his profile to make those kind of, like, in-behind runs, slashing runs, like, over-the-top runs, and Jesus, like, kind of rotating into that role if he's open. And then Martinelli probably staying wide. I think it takes some of the burden, especially pressing-wise, right? Because if Havertz steps up to press as a forward next to Jesus, takes some of the burden off of Odegaard. Now Odegaard can come deeper, too. Like, you tilt
like
this,
that idea.
and Havertz and Jesus are 2 of the higher guys, right? Havertz running through, Havertz running, for the over-top ball. Now you get Odegaard on the ball, you get Declan Rice on the ball. Like, holy crap. Like, you could ping a ball to Odegaard, Declan Rice, or Saka with, like, 4 guys on them, and they'll keep it every time. Like, that's incredible.
And it's just like the depth of Arsenal too.
Mm-hmm.
Also signed Timber.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I think he played the other night. Who'd they play the other night? Barcelona.
Yeah.
Was it last night or 2 nights ago? I didn't really watch any of the highlights or anything.
He could play left back, right back, center back.
It's just like, where are they gonna find a spot for him? And like, they got Ben White. Like,
Ben White
like,
was so good at his
Timber
role.
To replace Ben White? I don't know.
And Ben White was a perfect example of he's literally just he defended as a right back. He would slide in and play right center back, but he wasn't just a right center back. He could step up the field and overlap when he needed to and give like that extra support in the midfield. I could see Timber doing that role. Like, can you upgrade defensively from Zinchenko? I guess Timber could probably do that. I could see them trying to play Timber and have him step up into midfield as well. Like, he could kind of do it all. They've been experimenting with that like all preseason.
I don't know if this is true, but I might have seen something where Gabriel, not going to pronounce his last name, like it's just been played straight up out of possession as a left back.
Yeah,
maybe at left footed, but he seems like too like big of a player to just put like You know what I mean?
he's too
I don't know the
funky
right.
to put out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Well, I think he's the odd man out if you trust Zinchenko.
He's left-footed.
Well, if it's Zinchenko, Timber, Saliba, Ben White, and Gabriel is the next guy, or you put the four big dogs in there: Gabriel, Saliba, Timber, Ben White, and then you rotate into like Timber steps up, and then your back three is Saliba. Or Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, which is kind of nasty. And then it's a double pivot of Timber and Declan Rice. Like, holy crap, who's covering more ground than that?
Are you taking 8?
Who's counterattacking against that back five?
Not with that rest defense. Are you taking 4 8 out of 10 center backs or defenders, or 3 8 out of 10s and 1 6 out of 10? But the 6 out of 10 is left-footed.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I take the 8 out of 10. It's like also
all right-footed though.
yeah, I don't think it matters because I think we've seen a shift, right? Guardiola was very intent on getting like a left-sided, a left-footed player, left back, left center back, whatever it is, to play.
Guardiola.
I said Guardiola.
Yeah, I think you said Guardiola.
Guardiola. That's why he wanted Guardiola. You know what I'm saying, right? So it was kind of like a trend there. But in this case, like, look at the way Arsenal play and like the angles they create, like in possession. You could just bounce it inside to somebody facing the wide. You know, like let's say Saliba's playing left back, right? I don't know. You just throw Saliba out there or Timber out there. If they aren't that comfortable receiving on their left foot, they're probably not playing forward as much. But you could just play inside to a Declan Rice who could one time bounce it out wide, and then you've just relieve that pressure again. There's ways around it. And maybe that's why Arteta might want to go like a little bit more direct this year too. I'm not saying they won't be committed to playing out of the back because I think they will. And I also think too there's like a trend in possession where, like I said, right, let's say a team's building up with 4 in the back. Whether they invert a fullback into the midfield or they push a John Stones type player into the midfield, they're not doing that off of like a goal kick. Right? They're doing that after they've solidified possession 25, 30 yards up the field. I lost my train of thought.
You were just talking about when a team builds up, they're not inverting right away. Second.
Oh, so what I was saying was
stage
So even if a team uses an inverted right back, inverted left back, or Stones stepping up in the midfield, they're not doing that right away. Right? There's maybe 25, 30 yards up the field, then they start doing that like kind of consolidation phase in the middle of the field. But teams will start, they'll take their right midfielder or right winger and left winger, and they'll cut off the pass of the fullbacks, and then they could start to press the center backs and essentially block 2 players, right? Press the center backs while blocking the fullbacks. Well, teams to counter that might just drop a center mid into that hole, and then it either creates the pocket to drop the ball into a forward, or an easy pass into the center mid who could just bounce it out to the wide open fullback. So it's just different ways to get to that free player. So I could see that kind of being a solution as well.
Dude,
that makes sense. Could you like picture that in your head?
I'm picturing it in my head. I think a 3-2-5 just gives you like the best like angles.
Yeah.
For passes. I actually saw AC Milan do it last night. They're actually pretty good at inverting. I was telling you this earlier, but I don't know if you were listening. Calabria, the right back, the captain for AC Milan.
How old is he, bro?
I don't know, but he was pretty good at it. And Pioli was on him right there, right on the sideline. And like he did it. It was pretty interesting because he did it. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but you could tell like Pioli was like kind of getting on him. But like sometimes like if he didn't get the first pass, he just came back out again, out to his right back position. Loftus-Cheek would come in and get it.
Yeah,
it's kind of not about like being stuck in your position and that's where you are. It's kind of just like that's your position. Now create an angle for a pass.
Yeah, and I think the best teams are pretty certain in like where they want the ball to go and like where they want him to face, right? Like, can we get it to Saka facing forward or facing inside to bounce it and run, or can we get it to Partey was really good about receiving it facing forward, touch and then punch it forward, right? Touch, punch it forward. So like it's just kind of like about like making those angles too. And like if you see a right back inverting, the right winger is probably dropping a little bit deeper. Another thing with Saka, why I love him so much, is like he can receive the ball with anyone on him. So like Saka would receive the ball like fairly deep sometimes too in build up, but he's so good at protecting the ball that he wouldn't lose it.
Right.
Man, that was a long kind of tactical discussion.
About Rice. Well, we didn't really talk about Rice that much, but
I mean, what is there to talk about? He's a beast. He's going to play the 6th, though.
yeah. I love how it's just like the first game, a big signing. Like if he doesn't like perform like amazing, people like post like a picture of a player that, or just a random person that looks like him. Like have you seen the picture of the guy in the barbershop that looks like Declan Rice? It was like Declan Rice versus Manchester United, and it was like, dude, he's played like 20 minutes. Like
it's like a cheap version of Declan Rice.
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't think there's a whole lot else. So we talk about Arsenal, we talk about City. I mean, there's not much to take from Chelsea for right now. I mean, Pochettino, like I'm sure they'll turn it around, but that team is.
I have nothing really to comment on about Chelsea.
So Liverpool, I thought was interesting because towards the end of the season, everyone was like flipping out. Their head was exploding about this. What they said, like the 3-box-3, right? 2 defensive midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, a front 3. Well, we were on here over a year ago saying that Trent Alexander-Arnold should be playing some sort of center mid role, some sort of playmaking center mid role. And we said he doesn't even have to play center mid. He just needs to be in those positions. And what did they do this season? They literally took him from right back, started inverting him to right defensive midfielder in possession. And it helped unlock him and helped kind of like turn Liverpool's season around a little bit by getting him on the ball more.
Yeah. Do you think they stay with that going into this next season?
Yeah, I mean,
with the center mids that they brought in too. I mean, looks like Fabinho's probably gonna leave.
Yeah. So who else are they going to play there?
No Henderson.
So you going to play Thiago there? That seems like, I don't know, man.
They're linked to Lavia.
That would be sick. I mean, that's still like Lavi's nowhere near as good as Fabinho
I felt like the whole time that's not like Liverpool though. Like Klopp was just like, all right, let's do it. But like that's not Liverpool.
Well, Liverpool posts a lot of inside training videos on YouTube, and I watch them all. And they all they do is like not necessarily transitions, but a lot of breakouts and high intensity games.
It's like a rondo or a possession into like
and then they just go to goal and they have like 5 seconds to score or something. But I think they'll keep Trent inverting because, like, why would you not? Like, he's dangerous there. I do think they're going to need cover for him, whether it's Lavia or somebody else. I really wanted them to go by Mason Mount because I think Mason Mount gives you all the defensive work rate, all of the, like, could play wide, could rotate wide. I read the book by Klopp's assistant, Pep Linders, and he talks about wide triangles all the time. I love it,
so
dude.
that's where you got the idea.
Wide triangles. So, essentially, like, in the old Liverpool days, it would be, like, Trent and Henderson and Salah. Or on the other side, Robertson, Mane, and, whoever else would be, Thiago. Somebody that would be on the left-sided center midfielder. So you play in these little triangles until you got, like, a forward-facing player like Trent facing forward, could whip a ball in behind, and that's when you kind of got that, like, Mane running in behind. And Firmino was your extra guy in midfield as he was dropping back. Now I think it's going to look a little different. I mean, you have, is it Salah, Gakpo, Nunez? Who's the front 3?
Diaz.
Oh, Diaz.
Jota,
I love
Szoboszlai, McAllister.
Yeah, so
like I'm telling you, the depth for some of these Premier League teams is crazy.
Dude, this gets me so excited for the season. Like, could you play somebody
We were even watching
deeper?
Newcastle the other day and how much depth they had. For being Newcastle,
Yeah. I mean, dude, like, what if you just got crazy? Like, people are playing players way out of position, like, all the time. Like, we watched the U20 Euros, and England's playing a 4-4-2 pretty much with, like, 2 attacking midfielders as pivots, right? You play McAllister as a pivot next to Trent? Like, I don't know. Why not? Then you can play Szoboszlai higher up the field.
Playing Angel Gomez as the pivot.
Yeah.
It's like that dude's known for being just attacking, like...
Yeah, so could Liverpool do that? Could they, like, they're not going to play the style that England played in the U21 Euros, but, like, what if McAllister dropped in, and then who were some of the center mids you were naming? Szoboszlai. I mean, like, Jota's the third guy off the bench. Like, that's crazy. Nunez,
They also
Gakpo,
have like
Luis Diaz,
Jones and Elliott guys.
Yeah, none of them are defensive midfielders though.
Yeah,
But they have crazy depth in the midfield, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing three of those guys plus Trent. Heck, I don't know. Maybe Trent's one of the back three at times too. I don't.
and it's just like our teams just copying other teams. Like our managers just copying other managers. Because that's not Klopp's idea to put Trent in midfield. You know?
No, but
That's never what Klopp intends. But
But
he had to change something last season.
Yeah, but they had injuries. Some of the transfers didn't hit, which we talked about last year, how they needed to.
I don't think that might not be the best Liverpool. Is putting Trent there.
I don't. I think it is probably
Not the way that City and Arsenal do it.
No, but in the book, Linders talks about how they always talk about Trent as the future captain of the club. It's like Trent's not going away, and he doesn't necessarily have the legs or the skill set to just keep overlapping as a right back. So use him somewhere. I don't know where else you're going to use him, but I think he is that role. Now it kind of holds Robertson back a little bit by only being a left center back if you're playing this 3-box-3, 3-2-5. So maybe you find ways to get them both up the field.
Is it dumb to just put Trent at defensive mid?
That's kind of what we've argued, but
now straight up he's, I don't know if it wasn't defensive mid, but he's played center midfield for England. Straight up center midfield for England.
I don't mind.
Go get another right back and just play him at defensive mid.
You just play Joe Gomez there. Just big guy, big center back, and defend in wide areas.
True.
Gomez, Konate, right? They don't. What are the center backs? And Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Who else do they have?
I don't know.
When they break up into training and they say midfielders over here, they probably have the whole team just goes to the midfielder section, bro. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what tactical tweaks they make. Move on to Tottenham a little bit.
Tottenham, dude, I haven't thought about that.
Dude, it's been too long since you thought about Tottenham, bro.
It's been since yesterday since I thought about it. I gotta refresh my brain a little bit.
You
got it.
Postalagu.
Ange. We're just gonna call him Ange.
Ange, yeah, the guy from Celtic, I'll say. Who, everything I read about him, I feel like I'm going to love him, right? He plays in wide triangles and all of that. It's hard to really say what they're going to do, especially with Harry Kane might leave. But I have one hot take for Spurs, right? I think the system that Postalagu wants to play might not fit their personnel. But that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. He'll get the best out of the players, and eventually the players will leave. And if this guy stays, they'll slowly integrate these new players. If Harry Kane leaves, they should go buy Balogun. I don't know the cross London thing, but dude, they're gonna need a guy to make those slashing in behind runs. Maybe Balogun's not at that level, but if you sell Harry Kane for 80 million, or let's say they agree on 90 million, right? You buy Balogun for 15. Go spend the other 60 on a couple depth pieces.
Yeah, but you're just never gonna get Harry Kane's goals back and buy that, dude.
Why sell Harry Kane then? You're he's going to leave in a year, right? This is his last year of his deal, so you're either let him go for free or banking that you're going to re-sign him.
You probably wouldn't re-sign him, so sell him now to get some profit.
Yeah. Right? So who are you buying though?
I don't know who you're buying.
And are you replacing?
They might even just stick with Richarlison.
I mean, why not just play Son as the 9 and use Richarlison as a winger? That seems to fit this style more.
I think Richarlison's more of a 9.
Well, you play these wide areas, and then as soon as you can play forward, you got a slashing runner, Balogun in behind.
I think Richarlison's been praised in preseason, and one of the games.
Manager.
One of the games.
I just feel like Balogun is the Moneyball version of what it seems like Postalagu wants.
All right, you can't just throw an American out there and be he can play for Spurs. It's I don't think he's ready for Spurs.
I mean, that profile of player, find another guy who plays like that, and that's all the takes I had. I kind of like talking about positions and theory of positions, and we get more to Newcastle was a joy to watch. We watched them play against Villa.
Were they a joy to watch?
Dude, they were also so. To me, it seemed Eddie Howe was trying like all of this weird stuff. Like they would pretty much press Villa from goal kicks and restarts in literally a 3-2-5, and I'm talking like a front five. Their wingbacks would start just like we were talking about. They would cut off the pass to the fullbacks, so they'd start like sometimes in front of the fullbacks or between the center backs, sometimes just behind the fullbacks. They're really high up the field. Then the front three, so it would be in that case it was Isak, Almiron, and Elliot Anderson would be on top of the box. So you had two guys in midfield and a back three. So what would happen was if somebody drifted wide, so like Buendia a couple times, he started wide, so he'd pin those guys wide and would just start to drift inside. And now like they're kind of outnumbered in there, and they didn't do a good job of winning those second balls.
I think the first goal for Villa showed everything that's wrong with the way.
Well, Tonali was like stuck to a different man, and Buendia wasn't his guy. Right, so Buendia slides in from the left.
Yeah, but they just didn't have anyone in the middle of the field to win that second ball.
A lot of times what you'll see, too, is when teams are building out, midfielders now will kind of latch onto their man and be goal side of their man, but be, like, right behind them. So just, like, basically not letting them turn and bouncing side to side. So I just think to me, it seemed like Eddie Howe was trying to get a certain look at this defensive structure, and it looked like they just practiced it yesterday, like the day before the game for the first time. I don't think it's something they're going to do during the season. Be interesting to see some of their out of possession. In possession stuff, I still think they look sharp. Like, dude, I feel like they're just playing this way because you could have the quality of Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton, like all of those guys can rotate into the two-man midfield. Then you have all these attacking players. Like, you don't even really need, like, to play a left back. You could play, like, Harvey Barnes. You could play, who played
They
out
didn't
wide,
need to
right?
play left back, and they still play the left back. Like,
Well, that's
Matt
just the
Target,
guy,
It's like we go in to watch Premier League games in Philly, and we get to see Matt Target.
Matty Target. But, yeah, then they played Harvey Barnes, which, you know, they got on a pretty good deal. And it's like, now you're just getting more ballers onto the field. Like, that to me seems like kind of the future of just, like, screw like a formation and specific roles. Like Harvey Barnes is really good. Harvey Barnes is really good in these wide areas. Let's just put Harvey Barnes there and figure it out. And same thing with like what they're asking from the other position. Who started out right?
Shoot,
Trippier started as a right center back. I forget. I don't know, but that seems like it didn't seem like a solid starter. But they'll modify it through preseason. I don't know what else they'll do. They probably won't roll out a lineup like that.
Yep.
Is that it for Premier League? Anything else you want to talk about?
Maybe we talk a little bit more about more of a season outlook for some of these teams if we do a preview podcast.
Yeah, those are more like we just kind of went all in on some of these like tactical like ideas, but
yeah. So yeah.
What else we want to talk about?
We could come back stateside and talk about MLS,